This video is part 2 of the physiology of energy transfer. All right, so this is where we ended the previous video, is this and this. So now we're going to go more in depth of the walking filament theory, which is I explained previously with these little things walking across each other and what this really plays a role in. So one really interesting property of muscles is you are able to, if you stretch and then fire in the opposite direction, it will generate more force than it will if you had it fully done, like fully stretched out, rested, and then fire. Trivia question, why does that happen? Time's up. All right, that is because these are springs. Now what happens is this maxes out, so it can't move back anymore, which then pulls tension on these springs, generating potential energy, which, mind you, there are millions of these in one muscle. So all of that, it's able to stretch out, and then these walking legs will fire very, very fast all across the muscle. So trillions of those will fire, which then will be accompanied by the spring able to relax and use its potential energy in a way that benefits the muscle. Also, when I say when it fires, I do not mean when it consciously fires. I mean, it could be a subconscious firing of the muscle, but that also is just having to do with muscle memory and how your synaptic knobs are placed in the muscle. These are synaptic knobs, by the way. They tell everything when to fire and where. So your muscle memory will adjust where these are and how many in certain areas of the muscle and will allow it to fire in a different way. That's why if you're walking with bad shoes, oftentimes your foot may curl or may move or may something like that because your muscle memory has adjusted, and it's really hard to break that. And also it's really hard to break walking patterns that are weird because oftentimes your hips will adjust or your knees will adjust or your feet will adjust. And so there's a lot this has to do with as much as with the ligaments and the tendons. Also, here's a fun a synaptic knob illustration. So these are vesicles holding ACH, which are released from the terminal by the sodium ion. So the sodium ion triggers the release of those, which then powers the impulse, which then goes down through the tubule with calcium ions, which then fires everything. But what we're really focused on is this section right here. Calcium, we'll get to that in the nervous system. Anyway, that's where I'll leave off on power generation. If you have any questions, comment down below. I'd really love to hear them. I will update this as we get further along in physiology. If there's anything cool or interesting I find in my studies, I will let y'all know. Anyway, thank you. Have a good one.